All right, we're back up.
We're back. Had a little bit of connection issue.
Slight technical issue.
Slight technical issues. Where we left off, we were talking about rodents. And what I was saying was you want to make sure that your rodents are room temp before you feed to your snakes. And that's because it can be real bad if you feed your snakes cold rat. It can lead to regurgitation, which really isn't good for your snake.
Tell them what, just general outline of what we're going to be doing right now, Josiah.
Yeah, so we're just going to be going through. We're going to show you some of our animals. We're going to be feeding them. It's going to be a really good time. We're going to start off with some boas. We might hit a few ball pythons. We're going to do some king snakes. We're going to do some corn snakes. We're going to do some chondro pythons, baby chondros. I think I might have one or two big chondros that are good to eat. And then we also have some venomous to feed. So we're going to have a really good time. And also, before we start feeding, I want to talk about feeding utensils. Guys, if you're going to get a snake, I highly recommend getting either a pair of tongs or a pair of forceps. I prefer tongs because it allows you to release more quickly than the forceps. The forceps have this lock here, as you can see. Forceps usually are a bit longer, though. It also does allow you to hold on to them a bit easier for longer. But that's all technical stuff. And I think we're going to make a video later on to kind of help you guys out with troubleshooting, feeding your snakes. So without further ado, let's get right into the feeding.
All right, what are we doing first here, Josiah?
So starting off, we got some Peruvian red-tailed boas, and these are these are true red-tailed boas, and all these guys are eating crawlers. They're just destroying them. And I'm actually thinking about upgrading them soon, but that's maybe for next time. So as you can see, for these guys, they're very easy. You just kind of dangle it in front of them, and they hit it right away. There you go. He's going to wrap it up, make sure it's dead, and then after a few minutes, he's going to start swallowing it. If you want, we can hang on that guy, or we can move to the next one.
Go to the next one.
All right. So moving right along. Now these first two, they're males, and they're very good eaters. They're probably about a year and a half old at this point. And see, very easy. Most boas are when it comes to feeding frozen thawed. But some snakes, they can be a little bit picky. Some snakes, you want to feed them live just because dangling in front of them for like 10, 15 minutes, it can get tedious when you have 10, 15, 20 snakes. So some snakes, it's not worth it. Some snakes, it's better just go for live. You got no problem. That thing's going to eat that thing within a few minutes. We might come back later and show you, it's slowly working its way down. Move on to the next one. These guys have beautiful color. As you can see, it has really nice speckling going down its back. This guy's is expecting food, though. Oh, another quick tip for you guys. When you're feeding off rodents, if you're handling the rodents a lot, be careful, because one of the ways that snakes eat is through smell. And when you handle rodents a lot, you get their scent on your fingers. So if you go to handle your snake and you have that scent on your fingers, there's a good chance they'll think that your hand is a rat. So be careful. Moving on to the next guy here. See, he's flicking out that tongue. He's smelling it. He confirms it's a rat, and he hits it right away. I should say she, because now we're moving on to the females. We got just one more female here.
So, Josiah, obviously, we're planning on breeding these guys in the future, correct?
That's correct, yeah. We have 2.4 here. With boas, it's good to have a ratio of about 1 to 2 for males and females. And expect babies from these guys. Not really anytime soon. Probably about 3 years we are out from having babies from these guys. Boas are pretty notorious slow growers. And then even then, after they've reached because most people measure sexual maturity in snakes by size, not necessarily age. But with boas, even if they're up to size, a lot of the times they'll wait even a year or two, a lot of them, after they reach that size of sexual maturity to start breeding. So now that we're done with these boas here, we're going to go ahead and move on to the next thing. Now, we do have some rose-haired tarantulas here at the bottom. By the way, if you guys have any questions, feel free to leave a comment, and we'll address them as soon as we can. So actually, down here, I've got some rose-haired tarantulas. This is my breeding group. Unfortunately, they haven't given me any babies yet. They can be a little tedious. So as you can see here, got a couple of female rose hairs here. They are 5+ years old. Rose hairs usually take about 4 to 5 years to reach sexual maturity for females, and for males, it usually takes 1 to 2 years.
Yeah, what we got for these guys?
These guys, we got some adult male discoid roaches. We actually breed our own discoid roaches, and we use them to feed to our cresteds as well as our gargoyle geckos. To be honest, they're not really crazy about insects, but every once in a while they'll chow down on some. And they're also great for feeding to tarantulas. Let's see if this thing will eat one. Yeah, see how it just tapped on the roots? That's just telling it, hey, get away from me. I don't want you near me. So I don't think she's hungry right now, so we're going to go ahead and take the roach away. Let's see if this next one will eat. You want to approach the tarantula slowly when you're feeding it and see how she's kind of jumping on it. There you go. He's going to go ahead and inject the venom into it while she's holding it, and he's just going to hold on to it until the venom takes over and kills it and starts to dissolve it from the inside. After it's died and its insides have been dissolved, she's going to start eating it. We go ahead and close this one up. She's told us that she's not really hungry right now.
So I believe these guys were at one point a staple of the industry. You know, like if you got a pet tarantula, you basically got a rose hair. I believe they closed the country that they come out of, and so that's why you really don't see them that much anymore. That's why we're trying to produce our own so we can supply them, get them back into the industry basically.
Yeah, these guys used to be a dime a dozen, and now it's pretty hard to find some. And this is my male here. Let's see if he's hungry. And what's awesome about these guys is they can go quite a long time without eating. I usually try to feed them about once every other week. And I think it's been about 2 weeks since I fed them last, so they should be eating. This one might not because he's a bit on the smaller side. Meals tend to last a bit longer for him. Let's see. No, he's not really acting super interested in it. All right, he's not really pouncing on it, so we're just going to go ahead and take it away.
This girl, though, on the other hand,
yeah, she's going ham on that thing. Yeah, breeding pretty much any tarantula is risky business. Anyone who's familiar with tarantulas or spiders knows this, because there's always the chance that the female doesn't feel like breeding and she just decides that she wants a snack instead of a breeding session. And there's also the chance that right after she's done breeding, she decides, hey, I want a breeding session and a snack. So it's really important to stay diligent when you're breeding your tarantulas, and it can be a little nerve-wracking, I'm not gonna lie. But we're gonna give it. We're definitely gonna try and produce some road fairs here in the next year or two, and keep an eye out for that. So we're just gonna go ahead and close her up, give her some privacy to finish off that meal.
Let's go through some chats here. Hello, Peyton. Steve-O Wonder wants a trapdoor. I actually used to have a trapdoor. They're super cool. It's like a pet hole, basically. You just throw a cricket and then you watch them and they shoot out and grab it. They're actually really cool. We used to carry them pretty often. I don't know if we're going to be getting any more in the future. Hopefully we do. They're awesome tarantulas, or true spiders, actually, not tarantulas.
Yep. So it looks like our boas are still constricting, still kind of make sure that those rats are dead. So we're going to go ahead and move on to our other boas that we have in one of our snake rooms. So let's go ahead and move on there.
I also have this guy in the chat with his name misspelled. Spelled it Rian. Pretty sure it's spelled with a Y. All right, where are we going now, Josiah?
So this officially is our boa room. Not our boa room. This is our ball python room. Right now, however, we don't have a boa room. We're still working on it. So we are storing a few of our boas in this room. It is actually heated. The room is heated, not the racks. So right now we got it at 87, which is a little bit on the high end. We prefer it to be a maximum of 86 in this room. And at that temperature, ball pythons really do thrive between the 80 and 86 range. It's good to provide a gradient to your snakes. However, at ambient temperature, ball pythons aren't super picky. Ideally, though, the boas would be at a gradient, and we are planning on moving them into their permanent residence very soon. So let's go ahead and get right into feeding some of these boas. So these ones are not so much locality specific as they are more specific. This one is a hypo het albino leopard. So hopefully one day we'll get some really cool looking babies from this guy. And let's see if he is willing to eat. He should be. There you go. See, you just hold it right in front of them, let them smell it. You know, this isn't one of those snake species that likes to be tease fed. You don't really want to hit them with it. Just hold it out, and if they want it, they'll take it right from your tongs.
Yeah, boas are generally pretty easy to get feeding.
Mm-hmm. Also, another tip, if you're keeping larger snakes, I definitely highly recommend having longer tongues, and it just reduces the risk of the snake mistaking your hand for food rather than the rat.
You know, or if you live on the edge, just feed them by hand and just roll the dice.
That's right. If you don't care about your fingers and you don't care about some teeth marks in you, just go ahead and feed them by hand.
Now, what is this? Just so I look at the pattern on that thing. Unreal.
This one is one of my favorite ones that we own. It's really nice looking. This is a G hypo het T positive albino anery. It's also het for type 2 anery. Did I say that? No. It's het for, let me start over. It's het for T positive albino. It's also het for type 2 anery. And again, this guy has a lot of genes that are going to make a lot of really cool snakes. But apart from that, just looking at this animal, it's a beautiful animal. A lot of different colors that you can see on it. It ranges from orange to gray to red. Here, go ahead and look at that guy. And G hypo, it's that G is not a separate gene. It's actually a line of hypo
from G unit, right?
Actually,
50 Cent.
Yeah.
Remember G unit?
I'm not old enough for that. Unfortunately,
I am. Oh.
See, he tried to hit it. He missed it though. So we're just gonna go ahead and keep it there in front of him. He got it that time. Now, boas, like pythons, they can eat meals that are fairly large. For a lot of the snakes, you want to be careful not to feed them too large meals because that can cause regurgitation. But for boas, they can handle pretty large meals.
Hey, Tony, thanks for watching, brother. We appreciate it. We're going to be doing this a lot, so stay tuned.
See, he mistook your hand for a rat there.
Well, that would have been good content.
Yeah. That's another really nice one. That one.
Look at the orange on that thing. Unreal.
Yeah, that one there is actually a super hypo. Super hypo means that he has 2 hypo genes, one from his mom, one from his dad. That one is actually a salmon hypo. Again, salmon is not a separate gene from hypo. It's actually a line of hypo. And what that refers to is that nice pinkish orangish blushing it has on its sides. Go ahead and move on to the next one. This one's a bit duller, as you can see. However, I believe it's going into a shed right now. And after it sheds out, it's going to have some really nice colors. This one is similar to the last one we just were looking at. I like to tease feed them, not hit them with it, but I mean after they latch on to the rat, I like to kind of shake the rat a little bit, so that way they wrap around it. And I find that sometimes when they just latch onto it and they don't wrap it, sometimes they just let go and they don't eat it.
Yeah, you're making it feel more real, right?
Exactly, yeah. And it's important, even when your snake wraps up a rat, to check on it a few hours later just to make sure that he ate it.
So for the light, just a little bit more that way. There we go.
Just to make sure that your snake has eaten that rat, because you don't want to leave a rat out overnight for more than a few hours, because it starts to smell really bad and it's a really bad mess to clean up. You really want to make sure your snake is eating that. That's another example of a really nice salmon super hypo there. You can see the super nice pink blushing on the side. The butterfly patterning on the back. That's just a really nice animal. These are going to make some really nice breeders in a few years. Moving on to the next one, I believe this one is a really nice example of an anery, and this one is het for leopard, I believe. Leopard aneries are really nice looking. I'm excited to produce some of those in the near future as well.
So what is anery display? Just obviously this guy looks much different than the ones we were just looking at.
Right, so anery usually creates a much darker snake. And as you can see here, the colors are much darker. Towards the tail, you have almost a black tail rather than a red tail. And with different gene combinations, it does different things. For example, an anery albino is known as a snow. It turns the snake from yellow to a white. It's a really nice looking snake. And this guy, he's a little bit on the smaller side, so I reduced the size. The rest of these have been eating rat crawlers. This guy is eating an adult mouse. Moving on to the next one. And this one is another anery. However, this one doesn't really look as nice as the previous one. Let's see if this one will eat. The reason why these are a bit smaller is not because they're younger, but because they haven't been eating as well as the other ones, unfortunately. That's the reality with snakes, is that their growth rate isn't really dependent on how old they are, but rather how much they eat and how often they eat. It looks like this guy might not be interested in this prey item today. Might have to offer him a live rodent later. Yeah, it looks like he's not really interested. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it right there for him in case he changes his mind. And in about an hour, I'll check. And if he still hasn't eaten it, I'll probably offer him a live. Moving on to the last boa we're probably going to feed today. This is another anery. And
what's up, Intel? Thank you for tuning in.
Yeah, that one's no problem. All right, I do have some rat pups here. And I've got some baby ball pythons. We get calls all the time from people who have problems feeding their baby ball pythons. And the thing with ball pythons, it's actually very common for them to go off of feed for long periods of time, anywhere from 6 months, which is a very long time. It's not really common for them to go off feed that long, but it's not alarming as long as they have good body weight. And it's just important to be consistent and to offer them on a regular basis. But this one right here was sold to us as an Enchi pied, and it looks like it's probably just a normal, just a lower white with some nice lower white pied with some nice orange blushing. We're gonna see if she's gonna take this one. And you guys are gonna notice right off the bat that these guys, they're not as aggressive when it comes to feeding as the boas are, and they take a bit more patience. And some of you guys might be thinking, wow, this rat pup, it's pretty big in comparison to this ball python. However, it's important to keep in mind that boas and pythons, they handle larger meals fairly easily compared to colubrids such as king snakes, corn snakes, and milk snakes. With those guys, you really want to, oh, excuse me, you really want to offer them smaller meals. But with these guys, they can handle bigger meals. Less often, however. Yeah, so it looks like she's not going to take off the tongues. I'm going to go ahead and leave that pup right there for the time being. Move on to the next one. So this one, as you can see, this is like ideal. She's got her body in the cave. Now, oh, excuse me, I'm dying. I don't know why. Now, if you open the bin and you find that your snake just has her head poked out of the hide just like that, that is perfect. You don't want...
You okay?
I'm dying.
Want me to take over?
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously, that's just a real good feeding position for something that's a little more finicky, like a ball python. He's not going to be intimidated. He's hidden for the most part. And he's going to a swing and a miss. That's okay. Definitely interested. We might end up just leaving this guy up front like we did on the other ones.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to take your snake out of the hide if you find him like this, and just leave him where he is.
Is it another pied, or is this a multiple gene?
So this one again was sold to us as an Enchi pied. I believe it's just a nice looking normal.
What does Enchi do to the patterning?
Actually, I got a bigger one that I can show you, and this one looks like she's probably gonna take. Let's see. Again, ball pythons, they're a lot slower to take than boas are. So they do take a lot more patience. Let's see. There we go.
If you die on stream, we'd probably get quite a few views of that.
It'd be great content. So with ball pythons, I find the best strategy is, like I said, to just kind of dangle in front of them. You don't really want to hit them in the face with it. You don't want to hit their body with it, because that'll just scare them. It'll cause them to ball up. They're not really going to take if you do that.
Yeah, we got a carpet python next.
Oh yeah, we can do carpet python.
Yeah, let's go to carpet python.
So this is a jungle carpet python. They come from northern Australia, I believe.
What's this side? Like, you can go that way.
What's up?
You can bite me?
Yeah, she'll come at you.
Dude.
Whenever you're ready.
Go.
Yeah, carpet pythons tend to be much better feeders than ball pythons are. Similar to boas, they just usually take right away, right as you offer it to them.
Okay, we got a question here from Pandy Boo. What's your thoughts about people catching wild tegus and shipping them out of Florida? I think that's a good thing. Obviously, just like iguanas, they're an invasive animal. If people catch them and get them out of the state, then they're not wild in the state being invasive anymore. I think it's a good thing. Josiah, would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough subject, the whole invasive species thing. As long as people are upfront about it, as long as people aren't trying to sell wild-caught tegus as captive bred, as long as they say, hey, listen, this is a wild-caught animal and you have to treat it as such, I think it's great. You're not just killing an animal because it's an inconvenience for you. You're finding it a new home, and you're basically giving it a shot at life. I think it's a pretty good thing, in my opinion. You're removing potential threat to the ecosystem. At the same time, you're making someone else a little bit happier. I mean, sounds like a win-win to me. And you were asking about an Enchi pied, and this is a really nice example of an Enchi pied. This one's actually gravid at the moment. And
what does gravid mean?
Gravid, for non-snake people, means that the snake is pregnant with eggs. So as you can see here, you can see these really nice yellowish, orangish blushings on the side. It's low white, which is really common for Enchi pieds, and the pattern is a little bit more muted than normal pied, and that's also really common for Enchi pieds. As you can see here, a larger normal pied. See, this is a low white normal pied with some nice blushing towards the back here, but this one is just normal. Some people might mistake this for an Enchi pied, but it's just a normal. All right, we're going to go ahead and move on to some colibrids, some king snakes and corn snakes, stuff like that. We're going to finish feeding that some of our boas and our ball pythons later. Moving on to this room, this is our colibrid room. We're going to go ahead and start off hognose snakes. Hognose snakes, they come from various regions around the U.S. The ones that I have are western hognose. They come from Texas, native to California.
Western hognose?
Yeah. I know they're from Texas.
Honestly, I'm not sure how far west they go. But yeah, these guys are a very, very mildly venomous rear fang colubrid. They're harmless to people. But
Yeah, this one is a super Arctic, and she's usually a little bit shy when it comes to feeding. I usually just leave a mouse in there with her, and uh, you'll notice certain personality traits with certain snakes. Some tend to be a bit more timid when it comes to feeding. Some you're just going to leave in there. Some are going to prefer live. Some are going to eat right off the tongs. This one is usually a really good eater. We'll see if she'll take off the tongs. Yeah, there you go. She's just going to go ahead and scarf that thing down.
and I would say hognose specifically are probably a type of snake that vary pretty wildly in the way that they eat. Some will be finicky, some will be ferocious when it comes to eating. It really depends from snake to snake.
Yeah, for sure.
And see how he's working his jaws like that. That's how they envenomate. Because they're rear fanged, like most colubrids that are venomous. Even though these guys are super mild, they have to chew basically to get their fangs into their prey.
Mm-hmm. And again, we're going to publish another video with some tips for feeding. But just a quick tip for hog noses. When they're babies, a lot of people find it pretty difficult to get them feeding. And here, this guy's actually pretty aggressive when it comes to feeding. You can see he's following the mouse there.
Hognose can also be absolute goofballs.
Yeah, sometimes you'll get hog noses that you pull out the bin, and as soon as you pull it out, their heads just come shooting out at you. Some hog noses you pull out the bin, and they're just trying to bluff you to get away to get you away from them.
Now, this is an albino super anaconda, correct?
That's correct. Yep.
So that's a recessive gene in the albino and a co-dominant in the anaconda. So anaconda by itself is basically dorsal pattern of circles. Mm-hmm. So you breed an anaconda to an anaconda and you get patternless like this. So, you got the super form of a co-dominant gene in here and a recessive gene, makes these guys pretty fancy.
Yeah, we'll do a video covering genetics probably sometime in the near future. So if you want to know more about genetics and co-dom traits and dominant traits and recessive traits, just a few years ago, I didn't really understand them very well. All it takes is a little bit of effort and a little bit of research, and you'll have them down in no time. And these guys.
Intel says your ink is legit, brother.
Thanks. I got good artists. And this one is an example of an albino anaconda. And as you can see, it's got those circles running down its back, and it's a reduced pattern. And then the albino obviously is the red and yellow that you see on it. Let's see, usually this one takes from the tongs, but it might not today. We're just going to leave that in there for him. So those are a few hog noses. We're going to go and move on to some California Kings. Now, California Kings, as the name suggests, are obviously from Florida.
Oh, Josiah!
That's just the background. No, they're obviously from California, and California Kings are known for having a massive appetite. Oftentimes I find when I pull these out, if they smell the rodents in the air, they come flying out at me, and you got to be real careful if you don't want to get bit.
Why they call them kingsnakes?
Oh, they call them kingsnakes. That's a good question.
Oh, yeah.
They call them kingsnakes because of their diet. They love to eat pretty much anything they come across, and that includes other snakes. Actually, it's a favorite of theirs, and that's why they're called king snakes.
What kind of snakes?
What's that?
What kind of snakes?
What do you mean?
Do they eat? Do they like to eat?
Oh, I mean, anything they come across.
Like rattlesnakes?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to set it up for you.
Yeah. So they're actually known to eat venomous snakes. And they're actually really unique in that they have a natural resistance to snake venom. And we're going to go ahead and offer this guy a hopper. And as you can see, he's going to go nuts as soon as he notices it. There you go. And colubrids, they don't really constrict necessarily all the time. A lot of the time they'll just outmuscle their prey, and then they'll just eat it.
Like one very special snake we're gonna show in just a little bit.
That's right. We're gonna showcase our eastern indigos eating. And yeah, this one's all ready to go. You can see she's looking around. And with king snakes,
give me that.
Yeah. With king snakes, I find it's often best to kind of tease them a little bit and take it away from them, actually, because they like the idea of chasing after their prey.
Play hard to get.
Exactly. You got to play hard to get with these guys. Now this one especially,
just like at the bar.
That's right. You can't just throw it at them. There you go. Now this one,
what is it?
This one's really cool. This is a high white albino, and the coloration on this thing is just out of this world. I'll just quickly feed this one as well. There we go. All right, so now we're going to move on to some Mexican black kings. Mexican black kings are obviously from Mexico, as the name suggests. And,
got past the wall.
Now, Mexican black kings, also as the name suggests, are completely black. And much like the California kings, they're known for having a really good appetite. As you can see there, took it right away most of the time. And just like the California king, they're also known for eating other snakes. Or venomous snakes, they also have that natural resistance. Pretty much all king snakes have that natural venom resistance. I'm just going to go ahead and go first. One more king snake here.
Keyshawn Cash is asking, will there be more live streams, Josiah?
Yeah, we definitely want to do some more live streams. We're not really sure a schedule at this point. We might try and do once every other week.
No, it's going to be weekly.
Oh, okay, great.
So yeah, we're going to be doing Underground TV, which will just be like a regular edited show on our YouTube channel once a week, and then we'll do at least one live stream. We'll do feedings like this. We're gonna feed tegus. We're gonna do live stream when our tegus start hatching. When other stuff starts hatching, we'll live stream tortoise feedings, all kinds of cool stuff. So stay tuned. More will be on its way.
See, I don't get kept in the loop, so I don't know about this stuff.
That's because you're over here isolated, like
an infected
like a redhead. We keep you over here.
I'm a cast out.
A cast out or an outcast?
Yeah, either way.
Either one.
So moving on, we got some corn snakes over here. And corn snakes are great because, number one, they're really easy to handle. They very rarely bite defensively or offensively, really. They very rarely mistake your hand for food. They don't get super big, maybe 5 foot. So they're a great starter pet. Also, in addition to that, they come in a wide variety of colors. And as you can see here, this is one example. It's a really nice lavender color.
Wow.
This one is a ghost sun-kissed het blood red. And ghost is a combination.
What's that mean?
That's a topic for our genetics video.
Okay.
But in short, het means that they possess the genes to create, in this case, blood red.
Yeah.
And yeah, as I was saying, this thing has a little bit of reduced pattern as well as that nice lavender color. See how gentle?
Ferocious.
Yeah. Yeah, this one in particular, this one's a male. And then, just right above it, we have this thing, which looks like a completely different species. But believe it or not, they're both corn snakes. And they're both just as docile. Oh, dropped it on accident. And with these things, usually what I do is I just leave the mouse in here and he eats it without me watching. I find that they usually prefer that to being fed off the tongue. This guy didn't mind though. He took it right off.
Liar. Liar.
Animals and kids, man, they make you a liar. So this one is similar to that last one, and I'm just trying to show you guys that they come in a very wide variety. They're usually pretty easy to feed, and like I was saying, these guys are a really great option if you're looking for a snake.
Let's see the palmetto.
Yeah, sure. So these guys are also a type of corn snake. They're a morph of corn snake, and originally, they were only found in one area.
These are a naturally occurring morph, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah, yeah. These guys are.
So you can go outside in the wild and find that snake.
Well, not anymore, unfortunately.
Well, there was a time.
There was a time, yeah, where if you looked in the right spot, you could find snakes that looked like that.
Looks like, is he going in the shed?
No, actually.
Oh no, he just came out of shed.
Yeah, he just came out of shed.
Duh.
Yeah,
they just have blue eyes.
Yeah, these guys, I believe they're a type of leucistic, which is a very...
A recessive gene, correct?
It's a recessive gene, which means that both parents had to have the genes in order to make this animal. But the speckling on it is just out of this world. And as they age, what's awesome about the palmetto is that as they age, they gain more and more speckling, which is really cool. So she looks like she's not going to take the mouse off the tongue, so we're just going to go ahead and leave that in there with her. Come back to it a little bit later, make sure she gets that. You okay?
Yeah, I'm dying now.
Yeah, you feel it, don't you?
Yeah.
I got some bigger corn snakes here. I think this one usually eats pretty aggressively, so I'll show you that real quick. There you go. As you can see, she's just goes ahead and claws around that, making sure it's dead. All right, so moving on to, I believe, oh, actually, we got a couple more pretty cool ones. So I've got some Florida Kings here. I've got a few varieties of morphs. These guys are another one of those snakes that come in a lot of different, very cool colors. What's also great about Florida Kings is that they're cheaper than a lot of other snakes. For example, let me show you this guy down here. This guy is a hypomosaic. He's got really nice color and pattern. And this snake, as a baby, only goes for maybe 200, 225, which compared to other morph snakes is really cheap. For just a normal pied right now, they go for anywhere between 300 and 400. So for half that price, you can get an animal that looks like that, which is still a really nice looking snake. And king snakes, they do tend to be a bit more aggressive as far as feeding goes. So it's just important to keep in mind if you're looking to buy a snake, what you're getting. King snakes are one of those snakes that they might bite you while you're handling them just because of how strong their feeding response is. But some people like that. Some people really like aggressive snakes that as soon as you put the mouse in there, they go crazy for it. I personally love that about a snake. I'm not crazy about the whole biting thing, but I mean, I love the fact that, as soon as you put a mouse in there, they go nuts. And this one is a white-sided xanthic. Again, this thing looks just gorgeous. It's got those really defined white sides, and then on top it has that darker pattern scales that go all the way down. And again, that snake is only about maybe $225, $250, $250. So this is a really affordable, nice looking snake. Pretty much all Florida Kings are in that category of, really good bang for your buck as far as color goes. So moving on to the last snake that we got in this room, I've got some really nice bigger pine snakes. Now, pine snakes are different than the other colubrids I've shown to you, in that they're really big, strong snakes. And let me just show you. This one in particular, this one is a Mexican Jan Alpine. And this one has really nice yellows, really dark contrasting saddles, black saddles on its back. Let's see if it'll eat for me. They can be a little shy at times.
Let's see that rattle action.
Yeah, oftentimes when colubrids feel threatened, they'll shake their tails like that, kind of saying, "Hey, I'm annoyed, get away from me."
Don't mess with me.
Yeah. These guys are often known to be big bluffers. They'll shake their tail, they'll puff and puff, they'll hiss at you, all in an attempt to try and get you away from them. Let's see. Yeah, it looks like this one's not going to take off the tongue, so we'll go ahead and move the rat and then move on to the next one. Let's see if this next one will take. This one's in deep shed, so it might not take, but we'll see. Now, again, if you wanted to be a bit more safe, you could use longer tongues. Personally, I don't mind.
You see how blue his eyes are? He can't see real well right now. Obviously, he's in deep shed.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they'll eat like that, sometimes not.
Yeah, it depends on the snake. It depends on the species. It depends on the personality of the individual snake, believe it or not. Different snakes have different personalities, just like humans, just like dogs, just like cats. You know, some cats are more sweet, but most of them are assholes. You know, that's why cats.
It also depends on your astrological sign, I believe, as well. I think that's been proven by science.
Yeah, by science. Let's see. This one is another Mexican pine snake. This one, however, oh, there you go.
Yeah.
You can see it's really going nuts over that thing, constricting, making sure that's.
Dude, this shot right here is sick.
Oh yeah. Another suggestion for you guys: after a snake grabs onto its prey, go ahead and close up that bin. We're keeping it open just to show you guys, you know, this really nice image of a snake eating its prey. But most of the time, it's best just to go ahead and close it right after he locks it up, because if the snake feels threatened, a lot of the times it'll do what the snake is doing right now, which is it's just like, okay, you know, there's these big things that are looking at me. I need to focus on defense rather than trying to eat this thing.
All right, where we going next?
Let me just throw this last rat in with this guy.
Never mind, we're not going anywhere yet.
Yeah, this guy's in deep shed, so he might not take, but we'll see. Yeah, there you go. See, now this one's in deep shed. You can see on the eyes that it's got those light blue caps, which is very normal when a snake sheds. And despite it being in shed, you know, it took no problem. And that's just because, like I said, different species are different species have different feeding responses, and different snakes have different personalities. So with some snakes, they'll eat despite being in deep shed, and some snakes they won't eat despite they won't eat when they're in shed. That's what I was trying to say. All right. Now we're gonna go ahead and move on to our actually room / conjure room. I guess you can call it conjure room at this point. Originally, it was our hatchling room, but
real quick, just show us what is this guy? Show us these guys. This is super cool.
Oh, this whole thing.
This little guy.
So this is my bioactive setup that I made for some eyelash frogs. And basically what happened was I was bored one day. I was like, man, I want to make a bioactive setup. So I put together this. As you can see at the bottom here, we have a drainage layer. These are just some small clay balls. On top of it is some mesh screening, which has been lined with some hot glue just to make sure it stays in place. And then on top of that, we have some dirt mixed in with some sphagnum moss, as well as some charcoal. And then inside the substrate, we have springtails, and we have some isopods to help keep the tank nice and clean. As you can see, we have some live pothos plants. This thing is growing out of control, which I like. And then we also have some, I believe they're called baby's tears fern, which, if you know underground, we love our baby's tears. Let me show you what frogs we got in here. Here, these are our Salmon Island eyelash frogs. I love eyelash frogs because, well, for a few reasons. First off, they come in a wide variety of colors. As you can see, this one, it's got these. I don't know if you can really see it on the video, but here, let me see if I can.
He's catching a feist. He's catching a feist.
As you can see, this one has these really nice brown sides and kind of brown face. But on the top of him, he has this green stripe that runs all the way down his back. It's very unique looking. And then when you look at this one is like a yellowish, like creamish color with black markings. And despite the very stark contrast between the two, they're both eyelash frogs. Another reason why I like eyelash frogs is because they don't go through a tadpole stage, actually. Right after they're born from the egg, they're just frogs. That's how it works with these guys. So there you go. Let me see if I can prop up these pothos. Nope, just gonna flop over. All right. Well,
I don't think we're going to be feeding this guy, but I think we should show him to you.
Oh,
This is a very, very special type of snake. It's an emerald tree boa, but it's not just your normal emerald tree boa. This is what's called a basin emerald tree boa. They get super high white. You can already see that, and he's going to develop more as he turns green.
what does it mean to be a basin?
It's
a special
it's like a drainage or something. You mean? I thought you meant the word itself.
Yeah. No, it's a special locality.
Yeah.
Of emerald tree boa that's known to have a really nice color and pattern.
Yeah, super high white. Obviously, like that dorsal stripe is already really nice, and he's obviously gotten a lot more white than when we first got him. He's gonna be absolutely smoking when he gets bigger. Yeah, that's just a cool snake right there.
Before we move on to the convert, real quick, I'll show you diamond python is another type of carpet python. I don't know if you guys remember, but jungle carpet pythons are from the northern part of Australia. Diamonds are from the southern part of Australia. And since Australia is in the southern hemisphere, that part of Australia tends to be a bit cooler. So diamond pythons, and this is what a lot of people mess up, is diamond pythons like it a little bit cooler than most other carpet pythons.
Were these snakes brought over on a prison ship as well, or is that just the residents?
Like the rest of the Australians?
Yeah.
These guys were brought in before Australia got shut down.
Yeah.
So all of the diamond pythons, all of the carpet pythons that you see in America have been in America for quite a while. And diamond pythons, another thing that people mess up is they tend to overfeed their diamond pythons. And this thing is going to take right away. Yeah. They're very opportunistic feeders. So as soon as you present a prey item, they're going to take it without hesitation. And they might sometimes mistake your hand for a prey item. You got to be really careful with these guys because
it's a bite you don't want to take right there.
Yeah, they got these long teeth and they really like to eat, so you got to be careful. But another really common mistake that people make when keeping diamond pythons is they like to overfeed them. Just because the animal wants to eat doesn't mean it should eat. It's highly recommended that you only feed diamond pythons once every 2 weeks once they reach adult size, and once every 7 to 10 days when they're babies. So these are some chondros that we're raising up. We have a few different localities. We have Arus, we have Lyras, we have Jacaporas, we have some Cyclops Mountains. And pretty much all of them at this point, because they're getting close to a year old, pretty much all of them are really good eaters. As soon as you present a prey on them, they take it right away. Sometimes you have some trouble getting the babies to eat. And when that happens, you need to tease feed them. And by tease feed them, I mean that you kind of hit their tail, you kind of hit their side, to try to get them to latch on to that prey item. And as you can see, right away, as soon as it noticed and identified it as a prey item, it took it right away. These guys are all on fuzzies at this point. I feed them once a week, which is absolutely plenty. Once these guys reach adults, again, they'll be reduced to once every other week. And what's really cool, another thing that's really cool about chondros, in case you guys didn't know, is when they're either born a yellow or a red. But with some designer morphs or designer lines, they're born anywhere from a black to a brown, which is very cool. And these guys go through a, what's the word? Parthenogenic? What's the word for the color change that they go through?
I don't know.
There's a special word.
No, parthenogenic means I think they reproduce without breeding.
Well, they go through a very special color change when they reach a certain size, in where they lose that color that they're born with, whether it's yellow or red, and they turn a green. Sometimes they maintain some of their base color that they're born with. Like sometimes they'll maintain some yellow, sometimes they'll maintain some of this black speckling you see on this guy. This one might not be interested, so we're going to go ahead and try and tease feed him a little bit. We're tapping his side, we're trying to tap his tail, trying to get him interested in this fuzzy. Let's see if I can find maybe a smaller fuzzy that might do the trick. Now, chondros, I have to admit, they're definitely a more advanced snake. I wouldn't necessarily recommend them as your first snake, as long as you, what's up? I definitely wouldn't recommend them for your first snake, because they can be a little bit trickier to keep. And maybe we'll feed one more guy and we'll move on to our venomous room.
No, we can stay here. I just wanted to move on from that guy because he didn't look super interested.
Gotcha.
This guy looks ready to go.
Oh, yeah. And you can pretty quickly tell if the snake is interested in feeding, because as you can see, as soon as you open it, you know, if they're moving their face towards you, if they're flicking out their tongues a lot.
Yeah, he looked alert. Obviously, you could tell right away.
Exactly. And certain localities are known for being better eaters than others. Arus are kind of known for being a little bit trickier to get to eat than Jayapuras, say. Bayaks are really well known for being very aggressive eaters.
And aggressive in general.
And aggressive in general, yes. Let's see if I can get this guy to eat. He might not be crazy about eating either. This is another Aru. Yeah, I'll come back to the Arus later and try and get them to eat. Let's go ahead and move on to another Jayapuras. Let's see. This guy looks like he's hiding under the paper towel there. This guy has a little bit of stuck shed.
He'll eat.
But yeah, he looks super alert, ready to eat. And as soon as he sees that prey item. Come on. We're tapping him a little bit. Not hard at all. Just trying to what's it called?
Entice.
Just trying to entice him a little bit. It's not uncommon to find your green tree python on the floor of your enclosure. It's nothing to be alarmed about. However, if he is there on a consistent basis, then that might be alarm. And it looks like this guy's not going to take right now, even though he looks interested. I'll come back and offer him a bit later. Gonna see for a big chondro?
Yeah, let's do that. It's our new cages we just got in.
We just got in some new cages. That's right. Specially made for chondros. Um, let's see if this girl will eat. This one, I believe, is a sarong. See, she's usually a really good eater. Yeah, there you go. No problems. And I'm just gonna go. We're just gonna go and make sure that Cole is ready for us. Just give me 1 second. Yeah.
Good. Look at that absolute beast. We're good for the hot room?
Yep.
All right.
So moving on. This is our hot room where we keep all of our venomous snakes. And usually, Cole is working in here. Cole is the gentleman who works with me on a regular basis. Now, for these guys, I definitely highly recommend a longer pair of feeding tongues. So you definitely don't want to be hit by one of these guys.
All right, what do we got here?
So this is a striped dusky pygmy rattlesnake. And she is usually a very good eater. And with rattlesnakes, the way that they eat is they bite and then lick their prey. And then rather than eat it right there on the spot, they just kind of stalk it and wait for its venom to take effect. And it follows it. And after the venom takes effect and the animal dies, the snake just comes right along and eats it. Minimal hassle, minimal effort. You know, don't need to burn excess calories for no reason.
All right, what's next?
Actually sure which ones Cole did and didn't feed. He said he was gonna leave out some venomous snakes for it to feed. I know.
I think some of those squams over here.
Oh yeah.
Or maybe some of these guys. I know he's feeding the baby eyelashes.
Yeah, let's just go ahead and feed that pup and then move on to the dry marchon, and then we'll be done. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab a small rat.
All right, guys. So what we're going to be feeding here is what's called a puff adder, which is a large viper from Africa. I think they're one of the most widely distributed venomous snakes on the continent. And they're responsible for one of the most, like they're a snake that's responsible for one of the most deaths. It's them and like soft scale vipers kill the most people just because they're super toxic. And they're distributed very widely across the continent. The door open? Just leave it. Okay. Be on your haunches, buddy. Be on your haunches. In case you gotta move.
I mean, they're not really fast, but there you go.
Extendo stick.
Yeah, these guys are super quick with their bite. You know, it's they strike in the blink of an eye, and really, the reason why these guys are so dangerous is not necessarily, I mean, partially it's due to the potency of their venom, but it's also due to the volume of their venom. They're able to inject just such a large amount of venom into their prey and into their attacker if need be. And that's why they're considered one of the more dangerous venomous snakes to keep.
We got a bigger squam we could do. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Let's see.
So what we're going to feed next is what we call squam. A squam. A squamigers viper, a variable bush viper, is a small arboreal viper from Central Africa, like the Congo, places like that. They call them variable because they come in a ton of colors. You'll see yellows, greens, reds, orange. You get ones that are jet black. They're really incredible, cool little vipers. If we could find one that wants to eat, they're actually really fun to watch eat. They house their meals. It's crazy. Yeah, so this is a nice big female right here.
Probably gravid.
Probably gravid.
And these are one of those snakes that can be tease fed. Sometimes they'll just take it if you hold it out in front of them, but oftentimes you have to tease feed them in order to get them to eat. Let's see. Yeah, usually when they tuck their heads like that, they're not really interested in eating.
We can find one that would be though.
Let's see if this one, Taurus. And sometimes when snakes are gravid, they'll go off feed as well. It's a good indicator that a snake is gravid when it stops eating. So it could be that they're going off feed just because they're gravid. This one seems like it might be interested. Let's see. And some snakes, some venomous snakes, when they bite it, you just leave it next to them. And some snakes will eat it right then and there. And these are one of those snakes that you really want to make sure that they eat right then and there, or else you'll end up with a lot of mouse.
Yeah, most of the time with like arboreal animals, specifically arboreal venomous, they're not going to drop it because they're up in the trees. They drop something that they just bit. They're not going to be able to get it again, so they hold on, like you just saw.
Yeah. You want to finish up with the dry mushroom?
Let's do it.
Yeah. Hopefully, if we ever do another live stream where we showcase feeding, we'll be able to show you a few more snakes that would be pretty fun. Unfortunately,
some cobras, stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. We do have some cobras in store. That'd be fun. But Cole, he went ahead and fed a lot of that stuff, which I do really appreciate. But I would have preferred if you guys got to see. So we're gonna go ahead and feed these dry marcon. Now, dry marcon is the name of is it a family?
It's a genus, I believe. Yes, genus
of
colubrid.
Of colubrids, and features indigos as well as crebos. And these snakes get very large, and they're very powerful snakes. Now, this one right here, this is an eastern indigo. It's one of the rarer dry marcons, and also one of the more sought after. They're known for a few things. Number one, they're known for having a very strong prey drive. As you can see, it's coming out here after this rat. And they're also known for being very easy to handle. They're known for very rarely biting defensively, which is which is something that's really amazing. Have this big, powerful snake that for whatever reason, is just generally really comfortable with being handled.
Why don't we talk about how they kill their prey? That's unique.
So how they kill their prey is actually really unique when it comes to snakes. Is most snakes kill their prey either by constriction or by venom or they just swallow it while it's alive. But dry marcon, the way that they eat their prey is by bludgeoning their prey, i.e., they grab their prey and shake it around, and they either tire it out or they'll beat it up against a blunt object that's nearby. And then once it's tired or limp, they just go ahead and eat it right up. As you can see, she's already going to work, already about halfway through that small rat. She might eat another one. We'll maybe offer it a bit later.
And these guys are native to South Florida, obviously.
That's right. They're native to South Florida. They're native to actually all of Florida, as well as some parts of Georgia. There's other indigo species in America. There's
Texas.
There's Texas indigos, obviously native to Texas. This is a yellow-tailed cribo, which is native to, I believe, South America. And there's different localities of yellow-tailed cribos. This one, I believe, is from Suriname, or Suriname, however you say it. And this one, it used to be really aggressive when it came to eating, but I've had it for a while and it's gotten a little bit lazy. So let's see if it'll take. Yeah, most of the time I just leave it out there. Leave it there in front of its eye and it takes it whenever it feels like it. So yeah. It'll take it later. Like I said, that one, it's gotten a little bit lazy. That's my fault because I usually just leave it there and let it eat it whenever it feels like it. Yellowtails, they get very long. You know, this species is known for getting pretty long. Most males in this genus get somewhere around 9 feet. Some specimens even 10 feet long. Very impressive, very powerful animals. So I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. I think we're gonna end it here. Did you want to share them anything else, Woodward?
No, I think that was good.
Okay. And if you guys have any questions, go ahead and leave them down in the comments. I believe after we stream, this video is going to be available for people to watch afterwards, right?
Yeah, it'll be on our YouTube and our Twitch.
So go ahead and leave a comment down below if you have any questions about anything that you saw in this video. Be on the lookout in the next few years. We're going to be producing a bunch of stuff that you saw in this video, and be on the lookout for more streams. Follow us on Twitch, follow us on YouTube. Both are UG Reptiles.
Just /underground reptiles.
/underground reptiles. So stay tuned.